We're about to take it back.
Okay.
Talking Loud podcast is always Diesel Dog. And guys, today's episode is going to be an epic one because it's literally all about that Diesel Dog. Who got the most gas? Who's running the most gas? And I'm talking the best of the best autos. I know a lot of you guys are running autos right now. In fact, my homie Chris is in the ICANN VIP Bean Club, and he said he just chopped down 5 autos. Some of those may be ICANN VIP Bean Club beans, who knows? But today's episode, we're talking all about the American Autoflower Cup, as we welcome onto the show not only a herb lover like you and me, but also a well-known figure in the film industry who's a director, writer, producer, and so much more. But not only just that, he's one of the main minds behind the American Autoflower Cup. So welcome me today in welcoming onto the show, Jeremy. How is it going, Jeremy?
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Just super stoked to have you on the show, be able to kick it with you. You know, there's a lot of things I definitely want to get into, but before we get into any of that stuff, just tell me, how's everything going, man? How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I live up here in the mountains and it's cold. We might be getting snow tomorrow.
Interesting. I also live up in the mountains. Where about in the mountains are you at? I'm in Colorado, but we ain't having any snow right now.
So I'm in Big Bear Lake, California.
Okay, sweet, nice, man, and that's probably amazing. You guys get a lot of cold and snow out there. So do you do any outdoor growing? I'm probably getting ahead of myself right now, but do you do any outdoor growing out there?
I grew a little bit this year, and
Okay.
some of my plants died right at the end. They got a little too cold. But
Oh, man, I can imagine that, man. But thanks a lot for taking the time to come and hang out with us today, Jeremy. I really appreciate that, and shout out to everyone in the chat right now. We got tons of people in the chat already. We got almost 200 people tapped in. So you guys hit that like, show some love. Let's run up those likes. And I've got a question for you guys. Everyone in the chat right now. What's the best auto you ever ran? What's the best strain? Drop it in the chat and let me know. And also, I want to shout out the ICANN VIP Bean Club. The fam supporting on Patreon, man, it's rocking. December packages were amazing. If you guys missed out, join up. Mailboxes are burning down everywhere, man. And also, today's episode is all about them autos. And I have on my good friend Jeremy to talk all about the autos, and it's all about the Cup, one of the biggest events for autoflower growers out there. And I know a lot of y'all are running autos right now. But before we get into that, Jeremy, you're pretty well known in the film industry. You directed some documentaries like Other Side of the Ring, The Secret Cup, and a lot of people may also know you for some of the other more viral hits, Stranger Things like Aliens versus Bigfoot and I Want to Believe and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about your background in film, man.
yeah, no problem. I became a filmmaker kind of through The Secret Cup. We were documenting that event series, and it was a really special time in cannabis. And so we were able to kind of capture all these really unique moments. And it was hard to get the film made. And through getting the film made, I worked with another filmmaker and I kind of learned how to do it. And then getting the film actually distributed after we made it, that was a whole other process. So it ended up being, I met the partner that I work with now on all my films.
Yeah.
His name is Jason. He's a far more talented filmmaker than me. He has a long history in it. And he remade the Secret Cup film. And kind of before that, we worked on a couple other cannabis movies, Cannabis versus Cancer and About Cannabis and Cancer. And that was my intro into being a filmmaker. From there, I learned how to do it. And I've been fortunate to be able to kind of choose the projects that we work on. And some of those have been very, very successful, like those ones you had mentioned.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great life. I love making films, and I hope to make many more.
That is amazing, man. So just like let's just stick on that for a little bit because not a lot of people who have actually had onto the show or who come into the industry have that sort of really intriguing background and just also not just have it but be successful, be well known and stuff like that. So I just wanted to commend you on that, and say shout out and big ups and respect on that because that's truly amazing, man.
I greatly appreciate that, and it's it's still weird to me when anyone does know me from my films. I guess some of them have been seen by a lot of different people. To me, I'm the same person I always was, and I look at my faults more so than I look at my successes. So I'm very critical of a lot of the things that I do, but I'm happy that people enjoy them. And uh, every single time we try to get better. And I think that we do. My latest films are about nutrition and health. So it's like very different than a lot of the other topics.
Yeah.
And they're our best work. So hopefully every single time I work on something, it's a new level.
I got you, man. And let's actually just touch on the Secret Cup for a little bit because the Secret Cup, it's really interesting because a lot of people may not know this, but it's actually a Canna Cup, for lack of a better word. But tell us a little bit about it, man. Tell us a little bit about the whole
Oh,
theme and everything.
absolutely. Yeah, the Secret Cup kind of came in a time where cannabis events were just becoming good. When I went to events when I was younger, it was always a very small group of us. Almost every single person was male, and they weren't the most fun events. A lot of times you couldn't have actual cannabis out there for sale or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the Secret Cup was kind of born out of frustration with a lot of the other events. And my partner Daniel and some of his friends came up with the concept. And the concept was basically we don't like the people judging it. They don't actually know about cannabis. We want who knows the most about cannabis and who would be the most fair judge. And
Yeah.
they thought that the people competing would be the most fair judge. And uh, they were able to kind of come up with this concept of voting where you couldn't vote for yourself, but you could vote for everybody else. And it was a very fair way of doing the competition for a long time. And we traveled all over the world. We did one in Amsterdam. We did one in Spain. And one of the biggest things that was unique about the Secret Cup, it was almost entirely concentrates at first. Eventually, we did incorporate flower and edibles. But we had a finals at the end of the year. So we would go to different places. We would have a winner of each event. And then everybody who placed in the top three could compete at the end of the year in the finals. And so we
Okay.
would have like an international champion of hash or, growing weed or whatever it was.
Yeah. I got you. That's pretty interesting. And that is something that I did notice. Like it started off with like solely concentrates, So it's interesting to say that you guys start off with the concentrates and eventually brought the flower in. Whereas a lot of other people are like, we're starting off straight with the flower. We don't give a fuck about the concentrates or anything else. Like we only doing the flower. So that's pretty interesting, man. You guys flipped the script literally.
Yeah. The truth was we were all concentrate makers and they were
Okay.
keeping us out. There was a prejudice against the new kind of hash at the time.
Yeah.
It was BHO.
Yeah.
And they didn't want us in the competitions. They had there's all kinds of prejudice against it. And so through that frustration, we all knew it was the best thing going.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of create our own competition. And it was really a blessing because the scene was also uh, becoming what it is today. So there was very few of us doing it, and we all got to meet each other, and it created this community that was very unique.
Yeah.
And we were blessed to be able to kind of go to all these different places, meet all the people doing this unique kind of hash thing, and create this bond with a lot of. We called it the Secret Cup family. So
I love that, man. The Secret Cup fam. I love that. So you mentioned like you guys actually were all making concentrates, which is mind blowing to me, but that's pretty dope, So tell me a little bit about like how you actually got into growing like in the first place. Do you get off into growing plants like at a young age or like how did it all start off?
So I was very into cannabis when I was young, and I tried other things, but it was the thing that really stuck with me. And I went to Amsterdam with a friend when I was
Yeah.
pretty young too. And we went to the Cannabis Cup, and I didn't subscribe to High Times or anything back then. I
Yeah.
heard about this thing. I went not really knowing what to expect. And then I learned about this industry of cannabis that existed where people had jobs and they were doing all these different things. And it was so much bigger than I ever had imagined. And I loved when we were in America, it was like good weed or bad weed. There wasn't a lot of like strain knowledge or choice
Yeah.
or any of that kind of stuff. So you would have to grow your own if you were going to try and go after any of the specific strains. And in Amsterdam, there was this whole coffee shop scene and breeding scene where
Yeah.
all these seed companies existed, and you would see all the different genetics, and they were treating it like something far more legitimate than we were treating it in the United States. So that was really what gave me this vision of like, wow, cannabis can be this whole other thing. You can get all these unique seeds and have these traits that are unique to these plants come in there, and it was this a journey that was you know, a really wonderful experience because it was so small. On the East Coast of the United States, it was more big,
Yeah.
but in California, people were into their own thing, and they thought they knew what was up with cannabis, and it was a whole different experience back then.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. And like, just saying, you're always immersed in it. So it got me wondering, like, was your first plant an autoflower or a photoperiod?
Oh, Photoperiod for sure. Yeah. I didn't
Interesting,
even
man.
know what autos were for a long time. And the first time I experienced autos, I had heard about them. My friend, I wrote for a magazine called Treating Yourself,
Yeah.
and it was from Canada. And my partners, the owners of the magazines, they loved these autos called Bull Rider, and
Okay.
they had these they would bring it to Amsterdam with
The
them.
lowrider genetics, right?
Oh yeah, it was yeah, exactly. It was
That's
really,
Doctor. That's Doctor Auto. There's a doctor. No, not Doctor Autoflower. That's the doctor. Doctor's Farm. Doctor's Choice Farms, right? We had him on the pod recently.
so it was the very beginning of it, and they weren't what they are today, but his joints were super tasty, so I enjoyed it back then. Then I met these guys in Spain when we were doing a secret cup for Spanibus,
Yeah.
and these Russian guys, they were going to Spanibus. They had their whole seed company was autos, and they
Okay.
were telling me how it was big business in Russia. And so I saw all these different names that I recognized. I'm like, oh, I know those plants, but these are just auto versions of all these things that I know.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you can do that. And they still weren't what they were today. That was 2015. So now there were other experiences, but the Autoflower Cup came to me and kind of told me they wanted to do this, and I had to delve back into the whole auto scene. And I'm learning that it's come a really long way, and there's all these incredible genetics. It's
Yeah.
extremely close to Photoperiod up to a point, and then I think there's still certain really elite Photoperiod plants that I haven't seen replicated in an auto form yet. But if someone were to show me one, I wouldn't be surprised. They're going to eventually get there.
Yeah, the autos have come a long, long way for sure. And what I would say is that a lot of people talk about those lowrider genetics, being like some of the first autos ever, and shout out to Doctor's Choice Farms, because like I said, we had him on the pod recently and he broke down everything when it came to those lowriders, and he's made a lot of changes, like you said. So what you got back then was very different from what you get now, but on all that, like, there are a lot of things when it comes to the autos that I think can be a little bit of a learning curve. So for you, starting off with photo periods, did you have any difficulties when running the autos and realizing there's a little bit of a difference with them?
It just the thing I haven't done a lot of auto growing, but the thing I've noticed is, so the benefits are there, but it also creates another variable now.
Yeah.
So I've ran a few plants that I thought were autos, and then they didn't do the auto process. And so here we are in the middle of the grow period, and I'm like, oh no, these are photos.
That happened to me too. I know exactly what you mean.
So there's a little bit of that. And then I think that you just got to watch your plants to make sure you're catching any males or any sort of sign of any male genetics at any point.
Yeah.
And other than that, I felt like they were really interesting plants. And they're resilient. I did some things with my autos this year just to kind of test them out. So I travel for filmmaking, right? So sometimes I'll be gone for a couple of weeks. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to water them really heavy, and then I'm going to leave. And then I'll come back in a couple of weeks and we'll see what happens. And they were still just fine after 2 weeks, no water. And so I thought, oh, that's interesting. You know, these are resilient little plants. They're not as weak as I had heard some bad things about autos. And I thought they were great to grow. And I could see how new time growers would really benefit from growing the autos, because once they do kind of that process of quick flowering, I think a lot of photoperiod growers would be surprised. There's a moment where you're like, huh, this is kind of awesome. And then you start thinking like, hey, I could do this a little differently.
Yeah.
And I could really maximize these things out. And then it's not going to be the same experience, but it gives you this other kind of other possibility that I think is really fun and interesting. And I could see it taking over.
Yeah. Interesting point of view. I definitely would agree with that, man. And I guess that segues us perfectly into, just getting into the Autoflower Cup, So you mentioned that you guys have done all sorts of different stuff in the past, especially that Secret Cup is just super dope. But what led you guys to start a cup exclusively for autoflowers? What made you guys say, let's forget the photos, we're only paying attention to the autos, showing the autos some love?
Absolutely. I want to shout out my other event with Doug from Hitman Glass, Chalice Festival.
Hell yeah.
I love doing Chalice Festival, and that was a huge, huge event. And that might have led to doing the Autoflower Cup. Basically, my partners are from Spain. And so over there, the scene is much bigger. It's big business in Europe. It has taken over the scene everywhere else that I know of, unless it's a very new scene. Everywhere else, it's really taken over. So I'm learning from them with a lot of the experiences, and then reconnecting with people like Don and Aaron from DNA Genetics.
Sweet.
And meeting the guys from Humboldt Seeds, and then of course Mephisto. And so all these people are kind of giving me a quick education. The growers that we had in the last Autoflower Cup, Free Grow, the Fast team.
Shout out Free Grow 8 and Chubbs, Fast Buds team.
All that stuff is really, really interesting. And they have a wealth of knowledge that I'm just learning from, and I'm kind of parroting the things that I'm learning from them. And my experience was kind of, I grew these plants. They didn't yield a great deal, but they did grow quickly. And so I could see the possibilities there. And as you do it more, you have, so as a grower, even outdoors, you're able to kind of grow more grows and kind of learn and do different things more quickly. And I think the knowledge is going to kind of compound more quickly in that way too.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, man. I always like to say it's like a crash course in learning how to grow flower. You get everything you need real fast. Within like 90 days, you can grow a plant. You can seedling, veg, flower, harvest, dry, trim, cure, everything, and you can just get a crash course in learning how to do things. So I think I would agree with you on that. And I also just want to say shout out to everyone in the chat right now. Shout out to Norma G. Shout out to Norma G Show and Love. And shout out to everyone else in the chat right now as well. You guys have seen some fire strains that you guys are growing. Keep dropping those strains. What's the best auto you guys have grown? And let's see what's going on out there. But Jeremy, what I also did want to ask you, let's pivot and talk about the cup, because the cup is coming up. It's coming up super fast, and things are like on the final stretch. I think you mentioned that you're already doing a little bit of the collecting of all the entries and stuff like that, maybe. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the cup, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely, yeah. So this year the cup is in Hollywood, and we have a whole bunch of different growers from all over flying in to compete, and I'm taking in all their entries kind of randomly here and there, and it's looking really interesting. I was looking at my spreadsheet of all the different strains and entries that I'm supposed to be collecting, and it is a really wild variety.
Wow.
It's a huge list. I'm hoping that everybody follows through with their grow. And
how many entries are we talking?
So my list has like 100 entries.
So how many lists are there, bro?
I mean, I don't have that many entries just yet. So it's a very different reality to what I'm looking at on the screen. It could really change really quickly, and we could be dealing with this huge competition.
Jeez.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
And we have, I'm hoping to announce a lot more things about the Autoflower Cup this year. Really wanted to focus more on education. Last year, a lot of the people that came, they knew me from my other events and things like that. And we didn't educate them well about why they want to consider doing autoflowers. And so I think this year we're going to do a lot better job of that. And we're going to focus on the autoflower growing community a lot more. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the event.
Oh man, so that's crazy amazing. So tell me a little bit about, like, not only how the entries, because people probably it's too late for them to submit any entries I'm taking. So if someone wants to submit, is it too late right now?
No. I mean, it's too late to start a grow, but if you have an auto that you grew, our entry amount is low. It's really not that much. It's like 30-ish grams, I think. I'd have to look.
Yeah, so just about an ounce.
Yeah, it's really not a lot, and I'm still taking entries up until I think the 10th, maybe even a day or two after that, if you're careful and contact lists and everything. So yeah, there's still room to enter. Okay. And I've seen some of the entries and everything looks great. If you have something that is really, really impressive, then that's what it needs to be. It's, just, you don't want to just enter to enter. A lot of people are doing some really, really impressive work. So you want to be competitive.
Yeah, make sure don't send in any boof, guys. Keep that boof away from the Autoflower Cup, please. No, I'm just playing, but seriously, do keep it away. What I did want to touch on though, man, is that the judging process, right? Because there are a lot of different judges, and I've seen my homie High Again is in the chat right now. Big up to High Again. They're saying super pumped to go to the Autoflower Cup this year in February, counting down the days to go. Who's going? So if you guys are going, drop it in the chat and let's see who's going, right? And I've got a few friends who are out there judging. So tell us a little bit about the judging process. Is it like visible, open judging, like at the event, or is the judging going to take place beforehand? Or just tell us a little bit about it.
So there is a small portion that happens prior to the event that is a photo session, and that's kind of the final moments of the judging process. But the general thing is that it's supposed to be blind. So we have everything packaged in the same packages. It's just numbers. It's not identified by who grew it. There's no brand names or any of that kind of stuff on any of the packaging.
Yeah.
And the judges have been selected by the team at the Autoflower Cup. And so they've all been kind of chosen for their knowledge or what they bring to the table as a judge. They all bring a little something different. And we hope to have all the different perspectives really create an accurate result.
Yeah.
Your preference is always involved as a judge. I've created all these competitions. I've written the judging criteria for all of them, including this one. And so when you look at it, you try to eliminate all the variables that you can, but what people like is always going to play into it. If you like OG Kush and you don't like Tangy or whatever it is, that's going to play into your voting. And vice versa. If you only like sativas and everyone's entering, some sort of like grape indica or something, that's going to play in. So you want to have different perspectives. So the more you can kind of create that with your judges, then hopefully everybody balances each other out and you get a very accurate result.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because like that's something that a lot of people probably overlook, and like a lot of people have different tastes and preferences. Like I like diesel, I like gas. I'm not a big fruity guy, fan of the fruity terps, but a lot of people love those fruity terps. So one thing that someone may like, someone else may not like. So pretty interesting. I'm glad that you guys are, putting some thought into that, because I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that, and it's just one of the things that you understand kind of going into it. And the idea also is, if you are doing many events, then you can kind of steer them towards, okay, everybody that likes this kind of thing, we're going to do that kind of thing. It's all just the variety of things that you can do with competition. And when it's small like this, you kind of want to have as mixed judges as you possibly can. So
yeah, and I definitely think there are a lot of pros and cons to autos. Like my homie Dog Pound says, photos get crushed by budworms and caterpillars over here, but he can harvest autos before they start crawling out. So, there are little things like that a lot of people may not think of. And I'm also seeing so many fire strains coming in the chat right now, like a lot of different breeders as well. Norma G says Mephisto. I'm seeing Fast Buds. I'm seeing Gnome Automatics. So that got me wondering, like, this is the second iteration of the cup. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, nice. So I got a question which came in from one of the ICANN VIP Bean Club homies, right? Caitlin Campbell. Shout out to Caitlin. She's a ICANN VIP Bean Club fam, and she's asking, is there any difference between judging autos or photos? And if so, what are there? And what seed banks or breeders do you see them autos win a lot from? So I guess which breeder won last year? Which auto won last year?
Yeah, so Fast Buds did really well in our competition last year.
Shout out to Fast Buds.
Yeah,
that's the fam.
So they had more than just the winner, and really impressive stuff that they had entered by various growers. So they were the name that I would take away from last year's competition. Dope. But I also, everybody knows that Mephisto is the name that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
And some of the other names that I've seen, I mentioned some before. I've seen some autos from Cali Connection. I've seen some autos from who does. I talked to Crockett, and he told me that he grows 2 million autos every year, and he was explaining this elaborate use that he has for them. But I think there's a lot
2
of people
million
doing it that you would be surprised. Yeah.
Wow. 2 million.
Yeah. He's claiming that he just plants them and leaves them.
And that is wild.
And harvests them. It's really a wild story.
Yeah, that is wow. That is crazy, man. That is intense. Okay, so what about when it comes to actually judging the flowers? So have you noticed any difference between judging autos versus photos, or are the criteria pretty much the same?
I haven't. I thought last year I brought Photoperiod Experts into the competition because I think it's very important that Photoperiod people that are open-minded enough to do this kind of see what's happening and then give their uh, their approval essentially of it. And so last year I showed the Photoperiod people, and they're like, you would never know. It's indistinguishable from looking at it. You know,
Yeah.
every other characteristic I would say is indistinguishable. And everybody that I gave or you know, let try any of the autos that I was able to get my hands on, uh, nobody's ever said anything other than they liked it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I got you. Makes a lot of sense. Well, that was part one, because you actually came in with the second part, which I did want to shout out as well, because I think I'm gonna take a stab at this one. Then you can let me know your thoughts, right? So the second one, she says, last one. Any advice for a beginner auto grower that wants to grow the best flower and be a possible winner in the cup, other than just choosing good genetics? Because we all know you got to choose good genetics, but
Sure.
any other tip? For me, I would probably just say for the autos, go with the less is more approach for pretty much everything. Less training, less nutrients, less watering that you probably would, but just don't underwater either. But less is more. That's my own. Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I also, you have to have something that's going to stand out from the crowd, right? So
Okay.
if you're thinking about what you're going to grow, you would want to choose some sort of a profile that is unique.
Okay.
And so I also like that idea of kind of going back and doing something that stands out from the crowd. You know, we had one competition in the Secret Cup where we had 13 different Tangy entries.
What the?
Yeah, you know, previously Tangy would have won. You know, it was maybe one or two different entries had that flavor. It really stood out, and
Yeah.
it would win. But then it becomes oversaturated. So you have to choose what your variety is kind of very carefully. And you know, what I saw win last year, it was it was, you know, unique. You can see all the results from last year on the website, and you can see like that's probably what you're going to see a lot of this year, and you might want to go a different way. So, you know, that's all I would recommend to somebody trying to enter the competition and stand out.
That is a great point, man. I honestly, again, didn't think of that until you said it. Like being a judge and receiving like 15 different Tangy entries, I would probably be like, ah, like you really need to be standing out if you're that Tangy to win at that point. So very interesting, man. Really choose a unique strain, guys. And like what he mentioned, you could check out their website. Everything is on there, and they got a ton of great stuff as well. But as you can see from 2023, the winners were first place, Strawberry Gorilla Auto. That's from Fast Buds. Shout out to Fast Buds. We got second place, the Gorilla Punch Auto, which I think was also Fast Buds. And that's just the sativa. So we can check out the indicas as well. You guys can see who took home what. And they got a real dope video as well. You guys definitely check it out and see what's cooking. But I also did want to mention, you touched on it there. Like you really need to stand out from the crowd. So what is something that would make an entry stand out? Is it like really colorful flowers, super purple, super colorful orange hairs, or would it be more like a really dank smell? You crack that jar and it kicks the whole room up.
For
What
me,
makes someone stand out?
it's two factors. It's the nose, like you just said. You crack it open, everybody in the room smells it, or you know, that kind of thing makes a statement. And then the look. So if your bud is just trichomed out, super crystallized, looks like it's covered in snow, iced, that's what you want. And
Yeah.
when people see that right away, those are two major factors. The density is going to play into it. How it smokes, you know, if it doesn't taste like it smells, that's going to be a factor too. So you want kind of all those things to play together, but those two things stand out right away. You can kind of write off a lot of the entries just by looking at or smelling them.
Yeah, that is interesting, man. And like that, because a lot of people probably wouldn't even think that, before you get to the point of smoking it, though, like your brain has probably already made a decision. Like, how does this look? After that, how does it smell? After that, how is it going to taste? So it's probably like in that order.
Let's pretend we do get 100 entries. You know,
Yeah.
if you're looking at 100 entries, my first advice is to do that. You're going to eliminate your need to smoke the large majority of the entries if you're just looking at them, smelling them, and being like, these ones I like, these ones I don't like. And
Yeah.
then from there, you can kind of break it down. You might eliminate half of what you have to even smoke, maybe more. So
Yeah. Wow.
that's
Interesting.
the way to do it. And you can always go back and look at those ones later, but it's less important. If you kind of get those things done right away, you have at least something to go on if for whatever reason you're not able to go back and check out those ones you weren't originally impressed with.
Yeah, got you. Makes a lot of sense. So always keep that in mind, guys. Now, I got a question which came in from Matrix Reset in Progress, which is asking a pretty interesting one. Do you have to be physically present? So if you enter and you got an entry in, do you have to be there? Do you have to fly across to Cali or
You
wherever
do
you
not
said it
have
was?
to be physically present.
And
Last
it's
year
going to be in it's in Los Angeles, California, right?
it is, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Hollywood, it's on the Sunset Strip Boulevard. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So definitely, guys, if you can attend, you can attend. But if you can't, you can always enter and show everyone what fire you're growing, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, I got another question which came from OG Lieutenant Blazer. Shout out to OG Lieutenant Blazer, always showing love in the chat. Now, mutant plants. Like a lot of people have been growing autos, and you mentioned autos that turn out to be photos. That's happened to me a few times. And I've also grown a few mutated autoflowers that just grow really funky and crazy. Now, entering that into a competition, like, what are your thoughts on that? Would that be like, something that will stand out? Maybe the bud has got a really weird structure. It's a triploid or a diploid or whatever. Like, what about something like that?
Anything like that's going to stand out. I'm imagining some really odd fox-tailed
Yeah.
or something. Anything like that's going to stand out. Now, is it going to win you the competition? I don't think the judges would be swayed just by that, but you never know.
Yeah.
I think like I said before, the way that it's all kind of categorized out, you could win one category being like the most crazy looking bud and then be the best and score the highest out of everybody in that and still lose the competition because you didn't have the other factors there.
Truth.
So, yeah, you really have to like cover the whole board. And that would be another thing I would advise is like, try to have something that's strong overall. It needs to be strong in all the categories to really win.
Yeah, don't just focus on one thing and try to get the most crazy looking thing that does not taste good, because taste is also an important factor. So try to hit all those points and you guys should be good. And shout out to Jason right now. He says, awesome. Now he's even more excited. So shout out to Jason. I'm glad we're getting you excited, fam. Oh, man. Now, I think it's a perfect time to segue into the Newa Bud segment, right? And this is a segment that I like to call the Newa Bud segment because everyone that comes onto the show, I like to say is my bud. And I like to find out what you do with your buds, So I'm going to just throw out a few questions at you. There's no right or wrong answer. I like to tell everyone it's almost like multiple choice back in high school,
Sure.
You can just choose whatever you want to choose, and there's no right or wrong. It's all about you. All righty, man. Let's get on into it. So I got a few new ones for the new year, but let's start off with some of the good ones, right? When you're going to consume your flower, you're going to enjoy it. After a long day of work, you did a lot of movie production today, and you're heading home to relax. What are you grabbing? Are you grabbing a bong or are you grabbing a joint?
Well, I dab. So
Told you there's no right or wrong answer. I love that answer. That's the best one.
a bong is my favorite way.
Okay. I got you. So you really like the taste of those terps with those sort of stuff, man. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a dabber through and through.
Okay, I got you. Big respect on that, man. I feel you on that, man. I like that. Okay, edibles or vapes? What's your preference?
Well, I edibles get me. So if I'm looking to get really medicated, then really edibles.
Okay, I got you. A lot of people say edibles either they feel nothing or they feel nothing.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're totally baked, you're relaxed, you're medicated, you're chilling out, right? But the munchies start to kick in. Are you going to grab a snack? And the snack, is it going to be salty or sweet? What you going to grab?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I prefer sweet, but for health reasons, I would try to stick to salty.
Okay. Interesting. Sweet and salty both can give you some fucked up health issues, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it is true, man. I'm a sucker for the sweet, man, but I can't fault you, man. I can't fault you. Maybe I should be switching my life up a little bit.
Yeah, the
Okay,
sweets are really good.
for sure. Now the next one though, you can only choose one thing, right? One thing.
Hmm.
You're gonna do a wake and bake or you're gonna do a nightcap. Ooh, you had to think about it. Wake and bake?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Why wake and bake though? You starting off the day right or what?
When I go to sleep, it's almost a waste. So
I
if
feel
I'm
you.
doing the wake and bake, at least I'm getting something out of it.
Yeah, you're getting a little active. You can go out and about and enjoy it. Okay, I respect on that one. I feel a lot of people actually don't think of it that way. I think you're
Um,
the first one on the show to say that.
mm,
Respect. Okay, okay. So we're chilling out here now, right? You said you start off, your love affair with the plant at an early age, right? So you're chilling out here with me now. We're on this podcast. We're chilling out. We're hanging out, and 20-year-old you kicks through that door, and he looks at you in the face, and he's like, "Yo, I'm challenging you to a smoke off right now.
oh no,
Who's gonna pass out first, you or 20-year-old you?"
that's a good question. 20-year-old me was hitting the bong. It depends.
Now you're hitting those dabs, right?
If we're dabbing, then I'm good. But if we're doing bong hits, he's winning.
I got you. Okay, well, interesting. But maybe you should challenge him to a dab off. How does that sound?
Yeah, then I'd be okay.
Then you can whoop his ass. Because the crazy thing is, like back then, there wasn't that technology of dabs and extracting terps and shit like that. Probably unless you're doing it like in a garage in a real suspect way, extractions and shit. But for the
I'm
most
trying.
part, no one had an e-rig. They were just pulling out of their backpack in the mall and hitting that and being like, "Yeah, I'm."
No, it was different. We were super early on, but I think even when I was 20, that was still before.
Yeah,
I'd have to look, but yeah,
interesting though. I like it. I'm loving your answers so far, man. I'm loving it. Okay, we got it. We got this is one of the newest ones. I'm super excited for this one. So what I'm gonna do is ask you one thing. You can only pick one, right? You
sure.
get you're getting a refund on all the weed that you ever bought, right?
Ooh,
Or you have your own strain. You can name it whatever you want, and it'll live on forever and attain OG level, top tier king status that everyone knows about. What you
yeah,
gonna
I'm,
pick?
I'm not the one. I know too many people in the industry. Give, give me a refund.
Give me that refund, ring it back, baby.
Yeah, I can only imagine how much money that would be. It'd be astronomical.
Oh my god, man, I love that one. Dude. A lot of people are like, they really want that strain name, but I like that answer, man. Let's run back those checks, man. I want those refunds. Give me back them tax refunds, baby.
Yeah, I wrote a book also, so I've already lived on. I'm good with everything. I have the movie. I'm fine.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. That makes a lot of sense too. Like you really are well known and well respected out here, and I'm really, like I said, having the honor to hang out with you, and I'm really grateful, and the Newa Bud segment is really a really nice segment because it helps everyone to get to know you a little bit better. So thank you for that, man. I appreciated it.
My pleasure.
Absolutely, man. Now, I think we got a couple last questions that actually came in. I know so many people that are actually dropping it in the chat right now. People are saying refund, refund. A lot of people are saying refund. Some people are saying strain, so it's pretty interesting. Someone says 20-year-old me was smoking Mexican brick. That is very true. Oh, man. So wait up. Will you put Mexican brick in that bong?
Oh, I put some. Yeah, like when I first started
Oh,
smoking weed, it was very cheap weed for the most
yeah.
part. Like it was nice weed sometimes,
Yeah.
and then almost all the rest of the time it was just cheap. I had to take all the seeds out of it. It was horrible.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man. And sometimes when you forget to take the seeds out or you just can't get them out, it's like fireworks in your joint or whatever. If you even have it in a bong, it's probably like it's gonna smell real nasty when you roast that seed up.
So nasty.
Ah,
Yeah.
man, I hate it, man. So a lot of people showing love in the chat right now, and they're like my homie Girl with the Vet says, knowledge here is always better than any giveaway, man. So that's what's up, man. We always here to drop that knowledge and help you guys, win some of these competitions because that's what it's all about. And you guys, we were able to touch on a lot of different things. So before we actually close off, man, for everyone that wants to get in touch with, the Autoflower Cup, find out what's popping, when the next one is, if they weren't able to enter this American Autoflower Cup, where can they find you guys at?
The website's the best place to go.
Okay.
It really has all the links to the different social media accounts and emails and everything. It also has a really good frequently asked questions section, so you might be able to get your answer just by going to the website.
Yeah.
And we're all out there. You can try and contact me directly if you want. I'm usually responding to most people. I try to be helpful if you see me at an event or any of that kind of stuff. And I would imagine anybody involved with the event would try to help you to be involved with it too.
Yeah, so definitely check them out, guys. They're always, posting on Instagram. They're showing love. You guys can check out who are some of the sponsors of the event. It's going to be a great event. So if you can get out there, try to get out there. AC is a sponsor. Shout out to AC. They're always showing love. Hit that discount code ICANTHC if you guys need anything from AC. Definitely hit that. But definitely also check out the American Autoflower Cup's Instagram page if you guys want to learn more about the cup, more about what sort of stuff's going on, who the sponsors. Shout out to Neptune's Harvest, Blazy Suzanne out here in Colorado. And if you want to find out some of the featured growers, see some of the past stuff that happened, then definitely check it up. You could also find out who are some of the judges, because the homie Hygan, who is in the live stream, shout out to Hygan, they're going to be judging. Deuce Farms is going to be judging. There are a lot of people who you guys know and you guys tap into, and just it's going to be an awesome time. So just tap in and see what's up. Right, Jeremy?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up, man. So, Jeremy, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us, man. Break down all the stuff when it comes to the American Autoflower Cup. It was really awesome hanging out with you and find out a little bit about your filmmaking past as well, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my website is theskyisland.com if you're looking to see any of those films. And then the website for American Autoflower Cup is americanautoflowercup.com.
Hell yeah.
So,
definitely check out that website, theskyisland.com. Got some great stuff. Guys, you guys would be blown away. So definitely check it out. Show some love and let them know the ICANN fam is over here supporting. But most importantly, guys, don't forget, stay high and stay motherfucking fly. And we will see you guys on the next one. Peace, fam.
Finish him.